Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Coven is a board game which has a very unique theme. It's witches, but not centered around the Salem witch trial. So most of the witch games that we see will be centered around the witch trial. This isn't that. These are witches that are powerful, that are casting spells and doing fun things. And you're kind of set up on this board with these waylands where you can go across it. And when you can move around this rondelle, but you can also go across these lines that allow you to take shortcuts for a price, of course. You have cards that you can play, and there's different powers. And this whole deduction game that's kind of thrown in. You're trying to find out who's on what side, and if you're on that side, you can win. If you're on the other side, there's no possibility of you winning. So it kind of goes back and forth. Here are a few things wrong with the game. First of all, the components. They're kind of subpar here. Not very good. Not a lot of artwork in the game. Not a lot that brings you into it. Second thing is, I don't feel like the deduction thing works. I understand why it's there. The game doesn't work without it. But the deduction game, you're peeking over at these things. You're figuring things out. It's fine. But the part that I like the most is the rondelle, moving the rondelle. The problem with that is, when you compare this to other games that have a rondelle, there are so many that are better. Any Matt Gird's game is going to probably be better than this one. So this is something you would probably play if you really like the theme. The theme does come through on this one. You feel like you're witches and you're going after the goddesses to get their favor. I think all of that plays into it. You're competing against the other witches. That makes sense. You're asking for favor of the goddesses. That makes sense. It all just kind of works together in the package. I feel like if you don't like the theme or isn't a theme that speaks to you, there are better options. But this does appeal to people who like that theme. With that said, there are things I like about it. The game is okay. It's fairly easy to learn how to play in spite of the rulebook. And I feel like this is a package that could have been done so much better. It was a Kickstarter. Some of the Kickstarter upgrades are just completely useless and pointless. I wish more money would have been spent on artwork and game design and less on larger onks that don't... There's like 3 different versions of the same component in this game. And none of them really do anything. Those onks. And it's really frustrating when you start to see the warts on this game. This is a game that could have been big. It could have been really, really good. I feel like with some fine-tuning. And it just falls short of being what we call a good to great game. Coven is a game I'm going to say that people who like Euro games are going to like. But if you like Euro games with a theme. In addition, if you like the witches theme that's put on this game, I think it's going to go up in your favor. Now, for the rondelle, like I said, there are better games with the rondelle that I think that will appeal to people. But if you're looking for something very thematic, you want something to play on Halloween, this could be a go-to Halloween because it's a very, very solid game. Not a perfect game and not a great game, but a very solid game. When you start comparing this to other Halloween games with that scariness, that horror theme, I think this one will elevate itself to the top versus those, because there's not a whole lot of good ones out on the market. So that's kind of who I would recommend this game to. Otherwise, this is going to be strictly a try before you buy. Here's Coven, which is a Paul Saxberg by 8 Summet Games. It takes about an hour here to play. It does have 14 plus, I think, because of the thematic stuff that's going on here. And I want you to know that features a rotating board, which is true, and it really works out really cool. I do want to say this box is an odd shaped size. It's very thick and just kind of weird and doesn't fit on a lot of shelves. First thing you get is a manual, which we'll take a look at in a few. And this is the important thing of the game. You'll have this rotating board. You'll put this together yourself, and this thing can move around. And as your pieces are moving, you can move across these lines also. But this is the big sales thing right here. You're going to get another board here that you will put the dials on it yourself. And it will have a place where these dials will move. And you'll be moving up and down these tracks. You can kind of see the cauldron here. But this is the main thing they'll be having. You have these symbols across it and around it. But for the most part, you'll be utilizing this and this over here. Now, these big pieces are Kickstarter extras. They are so humongous. People may or may not want to play with these. There are cardboard ones that are included in the game. These are nice little pieces. You can actually maybe hang these up in your room or something. But really overproduced in this regard. So this is the cardboard that you would normally get. I have some metal pieces in mine and these gigantic ones that are included here. So this is what you would normally get. I think these are the Kickstarter extras. We get a number of these tiles, these eyeballs on it. They're fine. The artwork isn't that great. They're thick enough. It's okay. You'll get these essence and white and black for light and dark that you'll be utilizing. You've seen these little plastic things in games before. They work fine. As thematic as the game wants to be, you're going to get a number of these little wooden circles. Yeah, not very thematic. The game will come with these miniatures of the different witches. They're okay. The detail on them are not very good. There's been some problems with them upon their printing and etc. You really don't need them for the game whatsoever, but here they are. I mean, you get components like these miniatures and you get these little wooden circles. So they don't utilize the same position. You would use both during the game, but it's just weird that one thing is so thematic and the other one is so non-thematic. You also get a deck of these small cards. They're very small. They do not feel very good in your hands. Quite honestly, the quality isn't very good. You also get a deck of cards. You can see there's not a whole lot of artwork on it. And what artwork is on it is very generic. They don't feel very good. They feel like laminated business cards, kind of. This is from a legit company, too. So I'm kind of surprised to see how low quality that everything is. Overall, the components are not very good. Some of the Kickstarter stuff, this is pretty nice. It feels light, but it's pretty nice. But really doesn't have any gameplay. Like, why would you utilize that over something maybe it's a little bit more manageable to play? What you get isn't very good. The rotating board is neat, but the components are lackluster at best. Here's the Coven Rulebook. I'm not going to go through all the rules here. I do like there's a picture of components, although I did notice that sometimes a component was called one thing or called something else. It tells you how to assemble the boards. You're going to get a setup with an objective of the game up here. And then you start having just walls and walls of text. They do have some thematic artwork on here, but not a whole lot that shows you what's going on. These icons over here are helpful, and this tells you what the different spots on the board will do. The end of game, and then the rest of this is just reference sheets and advertisements about what's in the game and for some other games that they've had. The rulebook is okay. I'd probably give it a 6, 6.5 out of 10. I was able to learn the rules, but I did have some questions after reading it. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit how to play this, but I'm not going to teach every rule as I'm not sure I have them all understood properly, and it's a little bit more complicated than maybe that it would look like on first glance. I'm going to give you an overview of just kind of how this board works, and I'll show you some other things, but this will not teach you the game. So what's going to happen is you're going to have your miniature. Maybe your opponent has one over here. On your turn, you can move up to 5 spaces. So you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to a space that you want to do. Now, if you get on these ley lines, you can also pay essence to go across them. That still count as one of your movement points, but it will help you get around the board to maybe where you want to go. Now, when you're on a space, whatever space you can move to and you're going to activate, you will always pay the cost of the inner. If you can pay the cost, then you may take the outside action. If you cannot pay the cost, then you cannot take the outside action. Now, most of these are fairly simple. If there's a plus sign, you get it. If there's a minus sign, you give it up. And so these would respond to these essence that you would have, and then you would have the equal ones for the black ones, either gain 1 or give it up. The remainder of the symbols are going to be the goddess symbols, and those will move up to tracks on the goddess symbols, which I'll show you later. Now these outside spots, each one is pretty much going to have the same one. So the eyeball one is going to allow you to look at the alignment of the goddess. And I'll show you a little bit more about that later. This one right here, with the cup, will allow you to draw one of the artifact cards. So you can draw one of these cards, and it can theoretically help you and give you powers as the game progresses. You also have the lightning symbol, which is a hex. So you can pass your hex card to somebody else. And basically, these hex cards will give negatives to other players. So that's what this will allow you to do, is cast a spell, give them this hex, and then something negative will occur to them. You can see -2 to balance and -2 to favor. This card right here will give you essence and be able to give you some of those coins or tokens based on what your card would allow. Sacrifice, and it basically allows you to move this counterclockwise at least 1 space, and that's how this board will kind of move, and it will start screwing with people, and it can set up future moves for yourself. So this side of the board is fairly easy, moving around. You can move across the lines, you pay the inner cost, and you get to do the outer cost. So this is your worker placement style of the game. Now this board is going to represent the 5 goddesses. You're the witches, these are the goddesses. And you're going to be moving up this track, and as things go on, you might be moving up this track towards the 5. In addition, this turn will be how much that she gets. If it ever gets to the end of this track, then the game would end. Also, what's going to happen is you will get one of these, as will the goddesses, and they will tell you what the alignment is. And these will be hidden, and it'll be light or dark. So each of the goddesses will have one of these up through here, which you will get to peek out as the game continues. But each witch, each player in the game will also have one of these, and whatever goddess wins, you're going to want to match that alignment. Now the game's going to end if any of these favor tokens ever reach the end of here. One of these dials reach 8. At that point, you will reveal the alignment of the players and the goddesses. And then there's a scoring mechanism to see if the light wins or the dark wins. If you don't match the winning one, you're immediately eliminated from the game. If you do match it, you count up your victory points and you win. So what you're going to be doing during the game is utilizing this board to take your actions to hopefully influence what is going on here, matching the alignments, moving up your favor with the goddesses, and increasing their dials in order to get the right proportions of what you're wanting to do. Now, during the game, you'll also have cards that you'll be playing that can break the rules and do a few things for you. But that's just a quick overview of the game. I know it's not a very good one. There's a lot of little small details in here, but I felt like you could kind of understand what was going on by seeing an overview of these. And one of the things that people don't like about the game, I should state here, is that if you don't have the winning alignment, you lose regardless of how well you play. You can change your alignment during the game, and that's what these giant onks do. So if your alignment is light and you get to put an onk on it, then you just change it to the opposite. So these are just really just what you would put on top of an alignment token to signify that you're scoring for the opposite. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing games.